had remarried and had a new group of children. He later divorced again, and yet again. She thought it was only a matter of time before wife number 4 appeared. On those few times Kaylee met her father's subsequent families, she was polite but disinterested. She never did understand how her father could leave her spectacular mother, Meredith, for those poor substitutes. She never became close to him or any of his wives or children. He hadn't really even been in touch until recently. Her mother's illness seemed to have had a startling impact on him. It was as if he was suddenly interested in the family he left behind so long ago. With Meredith's death came even more intense interest from Howard Sloan. Meredith had been a wonderful constant in Kaylee's life. It was just the two of them, and Kaylee's childhood had been rich with happiness and perfectly normal. Her mother had been everything to her, her best friend, protector, cheerleader, and idol. And then Meredith was diagnosed with lung cancer, though she'd never smoked or lived with asbestos nor worked in a high-risk environment. The doctors pronounced her chances of recovery and survival excellent. Everyone expected her to triumph over the disease. But they were wrong. She passed away 6 months after her diagnosis. Kaylee was pitched into a well of despair. During the 6 months of Meredith's treatment and the 6 months of grieving that followed her mother's death, Kaylee hadn't written a word. She was moderately well known as an author of suspense novels. She wasn't rich and famous, but she was known among writers, librarians, and reader groups. She managed to earn a respectable living, and she had worked very hard to get to that point. Her publisher, so understanding and supportive, had granted her several extensions on her deadline and offered to help in any way she needed. She knew, however, that their patience would eventually come to an end, and they would not be able to schedule her next book until she actually delivered a manuscript. At this point in her career, to not publish a book for a couple of years could have a very negative impact. Thus, the need for a change of scenery and her determination to get back to work. She knew it was what her mother would want. Meredith had been her biggest fan and her most ardent supporter, whether she was trying to get a book published or dating a new guy. She had always been there, always on her team. Kaylee wondered if she'd ever recover from the loss. She hoped 6 months in the mountains would signal a new beginning, but she hadn't been sure what to do about her mother's house, now her house. Her friend, Lucy Rourke, offered a solution. Lucy worked for a vacation rental management company. Kaylee met her for a drink, and Lucy casually asked, "Have you thought about renting your house for a few months? It would make a fantastic short-term rental. I could manage it for you. In fact, we have a network that spans the continents, in case you'd like to go away for a few months." "And how is that done?" Kaylee had asked. "Do I just lock it up and leave?" "Our owners usually pack up their personal items. People are always looking for furnished rentals in Newport Beach." It didn't take her long to accept the Templetons' offer to rent their mountain home, and she had to insist they take the rent money. They were inclined to let her have it because they loved her. Then Lucy hired a crew to pack up and store Kaylee's items. That alone served many purposes. The thought of a hideaway in the mountains was encouraging, and it helped her accomplish the overwhelming task of finally going through her mother's things, giving away what she didn't want to keep. The house was beautiful. Meredith had been an interior designer, and with a deep cleaning and some fresh paint and polish, it was show-ready. A couple well-known to Lucy's firm was excited to rent the house for 6 months, as they had grandchildren nearby. Kaylee was happy to let them have it through the Christmas holidays. She could barely stand to think about Christmas. Without her mother, the holidays would be unbearable. Kaylee was about 8 the first time she and Meredith spent several weeks at the mountain house with the Templetons. She thought of Bonnie and Gerald as family, and their kids were like cousins to her. Over the next 26 years, Kaylee had visited a few more times. The nearby town was small, with hardly any services available. The last time she was there, 10 years ago, there was a bar and grill fashioned out of a cabin that had been a welcome discovery.